Welcome to Input 2, where we break down movies, TV shows, and video games. I'm your co-host, Dylan Bateson.
I'm your co-host, Tyler Wheatley.
And our guest is...
Matthew Yapp.
He does everything.
I do. It's sad.
Guest and host for everything. You're just everywhere all the time.
That's basically it.
They won't let me go.
No, we won't.
We can't, you're valuable now.
But today, we are talking about the one, the only, Black Panther.
Oh my God.
It's hot.
Brilliant.
It was.
So this movie was written and directed by Ryan Coogler, and this is his third big production film.
Yeah.
Let's get that out there. His second one being Creed, and his first one being Fruitville Station. All these movies ironically feature Michael B. Jordan.
Also, he's never done bad.
No, he's never done bad.
No.
Keep doing it, man. I love you.
You got this. Keep going, please.
I'm actually excited for the fall. That's gonna be a big splat.
Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen.
Okay.
But the cast of this movie, yeah, just throw a dart on any African American actor or actress working right now, and you hit it, and they're in it. They're in the movie. Let's be honest, they're in the movie.
Yeah.
And Chad Boseman reprises his role as T'Challa, the Black Panther. Michael B. Jordan plays the anti-hero, not the anti-hero, the antagonist Killmonger or Eric. Lupita Nyong'o, love you. She plays the love interest Nakia, I think that's her name.
Yes.
Danaya Gurira plays, I can never pronounce her name, but she's the badass who wields the spear.
Okay.
Oboki?
Oh.
Okay.
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 Martin Freeman, one of the only white people, plays Everett K. Ross. Daniel Kaluuya plays Wabiki. Latita Wright plays Shuri. Winston Duke plays M'Baku, my bad. Sterling K. Brown plays Njobu. Forrest Whitaker plays Zuri, and wrapping all up, the other white guy, Andy Serkis, plays Ulysses Claw. That's a lot of people.
What a list.
That's a lot of people.
It is.
It's a list.
So this story takes place basically, as they say in the movie, a week after the events of Civil War.
Which I liked how closely it was done.
Yes, I liked it too.
Yeah.
I like how it's not it's been a year or a month. No, it's timely. It's in there, and I think it works well just for how it works with how things progress within the story.
Yeah.
And and I feel like that plays a strength towards how this TV show, not TV show, movie works. It's a TV show now.
Yeah, no, I think structurally it was definitely interesting because the biggest shift in power, or the biggest shift in the movie for the characters was Black Panther becoming the king of Wakanda.
Yeah.
And so I thought it played a lot into it because that had been a year from now, he would have already been established, we would have missed all that. And so I did like to see not just the traditions on how do you become king, all these things.
But how it evolved, how the people went about it.
Yeah.
Instead of it being it took a year to get all these people together, I'm
Right.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt like the timeline was right. It worked really well. And I didn't watch all of Civil War, I'll admit it, but I watched most of it. I got bored. I'm sorry.
It's fair, man. It's fair. The third act drags.
Okay.
The third act drags.
Third act, give you.
It did drag out. But I felt like you almost didn't really need to watch it. They
No,
didn't
you
make
didn't
it a
have to watch-
necessity,
no.
which was nice. So
No.
it was one of those things where they're okay, this did happen.
Yeah.
And now you get to see this transfer of power. It all lined up really well.
I think in the first 5 minutes they gave you the flashbacks to
Yeah.
his dad, which was all you needed.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, it was just quick flashback of just here's a quick recap of what happened on the last episode.
Yeah, it basically worked like
Missed
that.
on Glee.
That's what you missed on Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Honestly, this was the quick episode recap for them. But they did it really well. It was
They did.
concise. It wasn't something that they kept playing on. It wasn't they're okay, here's 30 minutes of Civil War.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
this is what happened, and now we can focus on this.
Which was actually my, I'll say, as much as I love the MCU being so connected, I don't like it when I have to have seen other movies. Because, Civil War is great, but you have to know a lot of what's going on in Civil War to get
You
everything
do.
And that's what makes this movie really great because it exists in the universe, but it doesn't say, oh, you need to have watched this Captain America, this Iron Man. No, it's a standalone kind of just exploring that part of the world because in the Marvel Cinematic Universe we've only done Europe and North America kind of thing.
Yes.
So this going to Africa, which is not a really explored continent for any kind of scenery or setting or anything like that without it being the home of a mythical treasure in some past movies. this being like the central thing makes it great because Africa has like a rich like
History.
culture, history, everything about it, and like most of the history is kind of bad because white people, but you know.
Colonialism.
They even mentioned that. I like
do.
that. It's
Yeah,
great.
they straight up called out like
Oh,
every
yeah.
white person ever in this movie, and it was like the colonists, and you're like,
Oh,
you're like,
every white person in that theater just went, I feel
Yeah, it was super subtle, but in the very,
Yeah.
very beginning, when they were doing this really cool, like, kind of intro sequence of storytelling of how Wakanda came to be, they were talking about, like, you know, we built our civilization, and the outside world things were horrifying, and they showed, like, a really just on the side, you could see slaves being led onto boats. Like, it was really cool,
Yeah.
like, how subtly they just kind of pointed out, like, Africa was rough.
Yeah, that was like the thing I was kind of worried about how they would address it.
Heavy hand.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and it was just like they didn't hold back. They took it, they hit the audience hard, and I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Because like we don't need to tiptoe around this because the more we tiptoe, the more we forget or like decrease the impact of what it really did.
Right.
yeah, they definitely carried it out really well. It was a quick, like, good recap of like bad things have happened, but now we can focus on real origin stories and like good things. And you're like, okay, good.
I'll say backtracking to a point you said a second ago is I really do appreciate that like we've had America and even Europe, we've had very small bits of Europe.
We've had a decent amount of Europe because we went
we've
from
had, like,
Germany,
fictional-
England, like Vienna. That was all Civil War.
You're right. But no, I like world building when it's actually the entire
Yeah,
world.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it felt new. It felt
Yeah.
completely different. So I really do like world building for the MCU where they are expanding beyond what they know.
Yeah, but
sure, for
going back to what we talked about with like the whole like call it like slavery and all that, the history and addressing that. What do you guys think like the moral of this like Black Panther is? Because in my opinion, there's like two in my mind right now, which is T'Challa's side and then Eric's side.
Okay.
Because Eric is more or less like the anger, the hate, the whatever, like all the like bad repercussions of slavery, mistreating of Black Americans, all that jazz. Well, T'Challa's like, this is the prosperous side of like what Black people could go through if like, you know, they were a prosperous nation and white people didn't come in and screw everything up. What do you guys think?
So moral of the story, is that what you said?
Yeah, moral of the story.
I'd actually say it's a more universal theme in my mind, at least. Is just that don't let the sins of your father consume you. Because
Yeah.
I would say I think we saw really well that Eric let the sins of his father and his family consume him, and it destroyed him. But we saw that T'Challa was able to overcome the sins of his father and in a way forgive what his father did to grow and move past the mistakes his father
That's
made.
one of the better parts of this movie in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. I figured it, like my thought process on it was like you can move on from the past. You don't have to be traditional. You don't have
Yeah.
to keep this family tradition going for everything. And even though like many like tribes in Africa are heavily based around tradition.
Yes.
So this was like we can move forward and we can change. We don't have to be crazy drastic about it because even he was like, I'm
Baby
kind of
steps.
uncomfortable with just like, here's the world, like go
Yeah,
be free.
right.
But it was like, I bought this block now,
Yeah.
and we can help the world.
And
so
then
it
he
was
just
like,
summoned his ship. I was like, that's ballsy.
yeah, but no, like I definitely thought it was like you can move on from tradition.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a really good moral that you could. It was very evident in the story.
Yeah. So with like that moral of the story and all that, we got like the idea that from like back to what you said, the sins of the father and all that, because it was not only the sins of Prince Nobu, who is Sterling K. Brown's character, it's also the sins of T'Challa's father, because he set those events in motion to where that became like he hid it from the world. He did like the whole thing where like you don't tell anyone, you kind of
Yeah.
messed up, and then everyone who kind of like was there when it happened ended up dying.
Yeah.
Not from him, but like in
End result.
result of it.
I say T'Chaka, despite T'Challa idolizing him, I would say he was still able to be a flawed character, as everyone's parents are.
Yeah, and that's what I appreciate the most out of this film is because like when he talked about it with his mom, it's just like your father and I have always dreamt about this day. Him being like going to the spirit land, it's like I don't know what to do. I don't like know how to go about this. And then you just see him like. So like the second time he goes into the spirit world, he's like, screw all you guys, I'm gonna go do my own thing. And I appreciated that because that's what I feel like the new generation of people coming into power, of like new people doing things in like the world politically, like economically, socially, whatever you say. They kind of need to aim for that direction of, you can look on your forefathers or like your past, but you need to do your own thing.
Nah, man, let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
No.
I
love that line.
Ren, but that's not Black Panther.
It's not Black Panther. But speaking of Black Panther again, characters, favorites, who be?
For sure, Shuri.
Shuri all the way. She's my favorite Disney princess now. That's a thing going. That's a thing going around the internet, and I love it. Tyler's just shook.
I take it you hated Shuri?
No, I just realized that like
She's a
Disney
Disney
does own
princess.
everything, and now she's legitimately a Disney princess.
Princess Leia.
Because like I agree, like she definitely was. It's either gonna be Black Panther or it's gonna be her. So
Or every other female character in the
every
movie.
female character in this movie was bad. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my God, they were lovely.
I don't know if I can legitimately pick a favorite out of this cast because like
Yeah.
all of them I felt personally connected to and throughout the story.
No bad characters.
There wasn't. Like every character that came through, I was like, I built a connection with you, and you, and you, and you. And then like something would happen, I'm like, no, you can't die. Like,
Even like Whitaker's character, Forrest Whitaker's character, who ends up dying because of just like events that happened in the flashback.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even I felt bad for him because like you see the like love and like T'Challa's face of, no, not my other father figure. And that's great.
Yeah.
That's great acting, that's great writing, that's great everything. And like,
It was fabulous.
love this movie.
it was fabulous. It really was.
I'll say it's just great. The only time I disliked Shuri was there was like this awkward,
What are those?
outdated
What are those?
moment though. What are those? I was
The audible like grunt from the audience that when I saw the movie was like, like magnified by 50.
I'd say to movie makers, don't incorporate memes because they're
No.
very timely. And once they're done, by the time
They're
your movie's
done.
out, they'll be done, and then it's just so weird for everyone.
She did redeem herself though because of the like shoes. They're like, I call them sneakers, and I'm like, that was funny.
great. That's what I
That
wanted.
was great.
That made
You
me
redeemed
laugh.
yourself.
I actually laughed out loud and probably had the loudest laugh in the theater because I love really
That's
awful
hilarious.
jokes,
Yeah.
like really just bad jokes, and I was like, ha, that was good.
Sneakers.
Sneakers.
It's clever.
The clever on this
The
gal.
clever. So also like something you can always tell from these characters is like how they represent like Africa is in a way. Like because again, this is based in Africa. To the people who say, why aren't there white people? It's in Africa.
I'm looking at you, Prince of Egypt. There shouldn't have been white people there.
That's a fair argument.
It's an unfortunate
That's a very
movie.
fair argument.
Yeah.
But back to that. So the culture as a whole, like, we can definitely have no power here in saying that it's accurate unless we looked it up, which we did to see if it was accurate.
Yeah.
And my God, this movie has every kind of African culture like aspect you could think of and more.
Which also, isn't it great that they recognize that, hey, there's multiple cultures in Africa.
There's not just like one thing of like African
Finally.
culture and then this is it. There's
Yeah.
no other like different thing, which Civil War got flack for because the language they used between T'Chaka and T'Challa was like an already existing language, and some people kind of found like offense to that because it's a fictional country.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't think they had the people to make a fictional African language. But back to like as a culture, it is great to see it like. So in my mind, Wakanda's like the perfect cultural center of an African country that could ever be made if white people didn't show up.
Yeah.
It's practically a utopia no matter
Yes.
what, though.
Yeah.
I mean, just like for everywhere, it's just like this is perfect no matter what, and you're like, yeah, everyone has to strive to be that. They even say that like in the movie.
Yeah.
Just like if they could just kind of be us, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
And you're like, you got a point.
But like with that like utopia in mind, I like how it's just like not one culture dominated overall because like you see
Yeah,
the dude with
right.
like the huge mouth gauge, you
Yeah.
see the dude with like you see the women with the neck things, you see like it's just every culture had a prominent place in Wakanda, and that what makes it like tick as a fantastic country is
Yes.
because it's not like with most countries you say this is top dog compared to other things in society. No, they're just like everything's equal, we're good. Just
Yeah.
respect that guy.
I mean, everything's equal in like a xenophobic sense that if we let the rest of the world in, I wouldn't call it a utopia because I say it has definitely
Oh, yeah, no, it has hellish
I say
xenophobic.
super xenophobic.
Yeah.
It's a utopia in this idea that like we're perfect, the rest of the world is awful. So I think, and that's another interesting aspect, is you see, once again, the things that are presented as perfect initially, you see the flaws with them.
Yeah, and like that's what
true.
it's like a good socio-political commentary because we always like when everyone brings up this socio-political commentary was on point in every way.
Yeah.
Like it just didn't like.
It felt so natural.
It felt natural, like people having the conversation instead of people yelling it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like they make both sides clear, and like just how like it goes about, because Lapita's character is for not being isolationist anymore, while Daniel Kaluuya's character is very not that. He's border patrol, so like you understand his platform, and like it's a logical standpoint. It's like I don't want them in because we're kind of doing great.
Yeah.
And like you see the arguments, and then it like the struggle in T'Challa.
Yeah.
And like that's not necessarily like an African cultural thing. It's just like an entire like human cultural
Don't say that's
thing.
how the world works.
No, yeah, that's how the world works. And like
We're literally trying to build a wall right now because some
America.
people are afraid of the rest of the world.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
but
I like that they never like shamed either side
No.
per se. Like it was very much like, oh, this is why he thinks this way, this is why he thinks this way. And even though one side did win out, it was never like, it wasn't one of those like we point at the screen and like if you think this way, you were one of the villains. Like I thought that it's just nice.
yeah, it was nice, subtle, and like it's how politics should work. Like of having like an
think.
intellectual discussion of like you hear both sides out, you come to your own opinion, and then you go from there.
And then you have a giant battle with rhinos.
that was dope. That was dope.
That's all we needed.
I wonder what he was gonna do with the
Political
Lord.
discussions and councils well represented for African culture. Perfectly fine. Battles with rhinos, excellent. That's all I'm looking for.
So now, speaking of rhinos, are they going to be in future Marvel movies? Because again, this is a Marvel movie. You didn't know where I was going.
I didn't at all.
But no, so since this is a Marvel movie, we kind of have to figure like, how will this impact like the future of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Because with Wakanda like dropping their invisible shield or like their cloak field, they kind of announced to the world, we are so technologically superior to you, come at us, basically. Like some people will see it as that, while other countries see it as like a help.
Yeah.
Like they're willing to help. They're
I
willing to
mean,
be more
that was
human.
even represented at the end in like
The post-credit scene?
The meeting with all the other countries.
Yeah.
It was like, what do you have to offer us? And he's just like,
Well, you
well.
see.
And
I
was
just want him to like turn on the Black Panther suit at that point.
yeah, so like, I think there is definitely going to be some conflict of that. As like the rest of the world's like, yeah, it'll be kind of like the whole Avengers situation. Some of the world wants them there. A lot of the world's like, you just caused trouble.
Yeah.
But then it seems like they're so technologically advanced that it's like, well, we can heal anyone.
They're
If
the
anything happens, we can give you new inventions. We can do this and cause less casualties by intervening less in a way because we just have the technology to do it.
I think they're just going to do what they've already done before, and so that's why I'm kind of not super excited for it. They're going to pull like a Batman principle, like, yes, you save the day, but you bring the issue, so are you like really helping anyone?
Yeah.
I could see them doing that, but like the progression of how it would go, because after this movie is Infinity War,
Yeah.
to which like they're the only ones who could stack up. This is my thought.
Wakanda,
They're the
yeah.
only ones who could stack up to Thanos and all. We even see it in the trailer. It's like he
The Wakandan
drops the
army.
like periods, and then like millions of like creature things come out and just go grr. But
Go-ger.
go grr.
Very technical terms
How
there.
else would you say it? Because they go like
I
we
believe
don't
that
get
is
noises.
anatomically correct.
But another thing about this being Marvel is, in the past we've talked about how their formulas getting old and stale and all
Yes.
that. But this is the second film where Marvel has turned it over to a new and inspiring, aspiring director, with Taika Waititi being the first one with Thor Ragnarok, and now we see this. In my mind, if they just keep this up, they won't get stale. Like we'll still like have the same tropes, but that's the thing with writing. It's trope after trope after trope.
Unfortunately, that's the
Tropes
thing with a lot of action movie writing, especially superhero aspects of it. Like,
Because it's like this shallow of writing.
yeah, you just kind of have like these guidelines that have just already been set by past writing. That it's like,
Yeah.
if you differ from it too much, then people are gonna be like, well, this isn't a superhero.
You
that's
can
what we
only
get
save
from
the
these
world
guys.
in so many different ways.
Exactly.
But that's what we get from, like,
we
Ryan
can have
Coogler
infinite
and-
save the worlds.
That's what we get from like Ryan Coogler and Taika Waititi, because Taika Waititi blew up Asgard.
Yeah, which was cool.
And Ryan Coogler was just very like human about it, making his
Yeah.
film. And like it's just different standpoints will make future films better in my mind.
Yeah.
I think they definitely have a really good direction that they can follow.
Yeah.
This is definitely a good movie that can create good follow-ups in the future. Even if he's not the director,
He is.
for future movies.
He's already signed on for the
Well, I
second
mean,
one.
like every Marvel. Like he's not going to direct all the future Marvel movies.
I hope that'd be weird. That would be weird.
I want him to take
No, I
over
want him to
all
lead
of
them
them.
all.
Let's be clear. He is taking over all of them. Sign that man a contract.
Do it.
No more Joss Whedon ever.
Joss Whedon has been a part of that for like
Good.
6 years.
I don't want him to ever be again, Dylan.
Because this man's taking it all
My
over.
point stands.
Ryan Coogler taking it all over.
I want him for all of them. That is my final.
Black Widow was ruined by Joss Whedon, and I stand by it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I stand by that too.
Yeah.
I'm with him on this.
Yeah. So no more him. Only
Only Ryan Coogler. But no, so with all that we've talked about, like, final thoughts. The movie's great. We've already established that. But like, final thoughts into how this like movie is like the phenomenon we see it as now.
I love it. I feel like for once we got not just a new type of story, but new people leading a story. Because, you know, it's about time we got a black lead, especially tapping so heavily into African history. It's about time. So I'm very excited. Don't bring up Blade.
I wondered how long it would take.
That movie didn't happen. I'm just going to ignore that. But yeah, very excited and really glad with what they did.
Tyler?
I'm gonna cringe at the fact that you said Blade because I knew that it was gonna get brought up, and I'm just gonna. It's fine. It's been such a long time though that we're just gonna.
it can be overlooked.
We're gonna shove it out of the way. No, I
what's
thought
that
this was a great look into African culture, into really good character development, into really good characters and really great writing. This as phenomenal future for the MCU.
Yes.
I'm super excited to see where this takes them, and if they can keep making movies like this, even if it's not single hero origin story type movies, I'm very excited to see where they can take this.
Same.
I love that they can do this so well.
Honestly, yeah, like it's just a great thing. It's a new thing that like we get to see a different culture since the like white European Asian culture kind of like been overdone a lot.
Yeah.
So seeing a new African culture movie is like the bomb.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And on that note, that's all we got for you. Thank you for coming into this episode of Input 2. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button. And if you like us, like, look at these people. We're charming. We're beautiful. Hit that like button, too.
I am.
And if, like, you know, you want to check our social media, we got, you know, the Facebook and Twitter at Byte BSU. And the words. And other than that, I've been your co-host, Dylan Bateson.
I've been your co-host, Tyler Wheatley.
And our special guest.
I was Matthew Yapp.
Thank you for joining us.
It's high.
Yeah,
Like,
it's bushy.
You turn into Steve from
Stranger Things.
I've been called that too many times. Alexander, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. I knew you would point that out. I knew you would be laughing.
because it's the hair.
I knew it.
You're actually a mother of 4.
My God, I hope not.